Hello fellow aviators, B Rev Summer here. Welcome to this Friday night flight. We're here in Syracuse, New York. You can see I have the custom scenery available in the marketplace here. That beautiful neon sign there that identifies where we are, upstate New York. Flying in a Blue Streak is our call sign today. American Eagle Flight 5083, service from Syracuse all the way down to Washington National Airport. Alright, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with our pre-flight here today. Glad all of you are here joining. Captain Matty, welcome aboard. Thanks for the weather report. Yeah, weather in Washington, D.C. is not too great this evening. Like I said, winds are out of the northeast, 7 knots, 10 miles, visibility overcast at 1400. So very likely we're not going to get to do that river visual tonight, unfortunately. But we'll get heading down that way and definitely do what we can. So that's accidentally hit F1 there. So let me get the thrust levers back to shut off. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, I am ready for Reagan National. Yes, I am, Captain Matty. Thank you, and welcome aboard. Let's go ahead and get our power-up checks completed. Circuit breakers are all in here in the back of the cockpit here. Let's hop into the captain's seat again and go through our quick flow, get the armrest up, make sure everything is off. ADG handle is stowed. IRSs are in the off position. Transponder standby. Radars are both off. Thrust levers have been shut off now. Flaps are in the up position. Flight spoiler is all the way up. And gear lever is down. And on my Honeycomb Bravo thrust lever quadrant, the gear lever is down also. And hydraulic pumps are in off. Let's go ahead and get some electrical DC power on the aircraft. Battery master on. And we can see that the we have good. Well, let's check those battery voltages really quickly. 26 and 27 volts on the APU and main battery. We want to have at least 22 volts, so those are good. But we're going to go ahead and get the AC electrical power on. So we'll hit that AC electrical switch there. You can see all the AC buses are powered. And over on the DC side, everything, well, if I can hit the right button here, there we go. The DC side, all the buses are powered as well. So looking good there. Come down and get the nav lights on. Turn on all our hydraulic pumps so that we can engage the stab trim. Get the proper tests done. Yep, there's that spoiler stab in test advisory message. And we'll flip our IRS switches on now too. So those of you like Captain Matty have been flying on a few flights with me, this is probably getting to be kind of old. You've seen the startup a few times, but hey, that's how you do it in the aircraft. Same thing over and over and over again, and those procedures become habit patterns. All right, so we have our Syracuse is our reference point. We use that GPS position. Captain Matty begins to listen and softly eat a custom-made Easter cookie. All right, that sounds delicious. Very cool. Yeah, I actually ate probably a few too many Easter cookies a week ago with the Easter celebration. So it was delicious at the time, but yep, I probably need to go on a diet now. All right, so we have Syracuse to Reagan National there punched in. I'm going to go ahead and run through the quick power up check that I have on the checklist, which is attached in the tutorial videos for those of you who might be new to the stream. Check it out. It's free to download, and it's just a quick way to run through some checklists on the CRJ based off of real-world procedures. So for the power-up check, circuit breakers are checked, radar off, thrust levers were shut off, battery master on, AC electrics are set, hydraulic pumps 1, 3A, 3B, and 2 on. Stab trim switches are engaged. That stab trim test is complete now, so I'm going to switch the hydraulic switches to auto and on. So all down. And parking brake is on. IRS nav. Power up check complete. Let's do the receiving check really quickly. Documents are checked. Maintenance status is checked. We have a good aircraft today. No deferrals. Emergency equipment is all checked back behind us there. Emergency lights, let's go ahead and arm those really quickly. So that switch all the way down. Standby instruments are, yep, that's checked. And gear pens are checked. Receiving check complete. Alright, so we are on VATSIM today. Looks like, let me check the vPilot client. New York Center is online. Excellent. So 125.325. Looks like we might actually get a clearance here. They must have just come on pretty recently. So that's good to see. Let's see, are we in the New York Center? Oh, you know what? I think we're actually in Boston Center. So, yep, we're not going to get to talk to them until we're in the air. So, bummer. That's all right. So we'll just load up our flight plan as filed for now. So we'll be squawking 2000 to start, and initial altitude. I have us planned on the Syracuse. I believe it's the Syracuse 2 departure. I'm just pulling up my plates, my Navigraph charts here on my end, and the Syracuse 2 departure has a top altitude of 4,000 feet. So we'll set that in for our initial top altitude. And just need a few more clicks there. All right, 4,000 is set. We can see it there on the PFD in the upper right-hand corner. PSA Airlines, that is correct, Captain Matty. I just looked up an actual real-world flight that flew from Syracuse to Reagan National this week, and that's what I chose as the call sign. So trying to simulate the actual operator. And I'm not sure if they flew a CRJ 700 in there, and I might have been one of the Embraer jets, but we'll be blue streak today, so very observant. All right, so I need to continue. Syracuse is in New York Center, or New York State. Yes, it is in New York State, absolutely. And then, yeah, I went over to the SimAware map that's on VATSIM, and the center in this area is not online yet, unfortunately. So I didn't realize New York Center, actually, it's a really weird map. It covers a lot of Pennsylvania and just a little bit of southern New York and part of Long Island. And Boston Center has a lot of the rest of it. So I did not realize that, even though I've flown in that area many times. Well, let's go ahead and get this flight plan loaded in so we can get in the air and look at the beautiful scenery and head down toward Washington, D.C. this evening. So start here on the status page. Like we said, we checked that the database is up to date, which it is on both sides. And we already did the pause init. So for the flight plan, we have that in. Our alternate today is going to be, let's see, what do we plan here? I have an alternate of, I believe it's Pittsburgh, if I can find that. Yep, Pittsburgh is our alternate today. So have that planned. And then our first fix is going to be the Syracuse VOR. And I don't know why it did not register there. Let's do winds here. Let's check our weather forecast. And like I said, I've tried to get my internet fixed. It does not always work like it should. So if it does go out, I'll start the stream back again and I will post the full video. But I'm continuing to have some internet issues, it appears, tonight. So I do apologize for that. I've had many technicians out here to try to take a look at it. So I'm not sure what the problem is. All right, but here in Syracuse, winds this evening are out of the southeast, 120 at 3 knots, 3000 on the altimeter. So let me go ahead and get that set in here. And that should set it on all three for me since I have all the altimeters bound together. So 3000 across the boards. And for our takeoff, I think we're going to take off on, yeah, it'll be runway 10 more than likely. So let me go ahead and select that. Syracuse 2 departure. I'll execute that part. PSA does use a CRJ to DCA from Syracuse. Excellent. So, hey, that just adds to the accuracy, right? That's a good thing. All right, so the Syracuse 2 departure, and I'll put in, let's see if it'll let me do There we go. Now it's letting me put in Syracuse and the rest of the route as filed, which is going to be Victor 35 to, I believe it's Elmira, if I remember correctly. Haven't flown in this part of the country in quite a while. And then direct to Phillipsburg VOR. And the skills for arrival into Washington National. So let's find that really quickly. Skills for arrival with the Phillipsburg transition. And I think it's probably going to be the ILS 1 tonight with the way the weather's looking down there. Which I do kind of bummed about that. Originally I was planning to fly this flight on Monday night, but had some serious internet issues that night. It was kicking me off every minute. So called the technician in the next day and was hoping to do it tonight. So it seems to be working better. But all right, so we're showing a total distance at 351 right now on our flight plan distance, and planned at 387, so that's pretty close. And we'll check it here in just a little bit. Let's go to the PilotEdge page. Cruise altitude this evening is going to be flight level 360. So I'll punch that in with the shorthand there. And the alternate cruise altitude down to out to Pittsburgh is flight level 320. So I'll punch that in also here. So we definitely need an alternate today. All right, let's go ahead over here to our EFB and get all the performance data set. And I'm going to change to our loading it with the zero fuel weight. Some other items. So 61,539 is our zero fuel weight today. Let's punch it up there. 61,539. That's pretty close there. And then the fuel on board is going to be 9710. So we have quite a bit of fuel. We're going to be pretty close to our max weights today. 62.3 is that max zero fuel weight, as we can see right there. So we're just under that. And we'll copy that PerfNet data to the FMS. And looks like our takeoff trim is going to be 7.2 today. So I'm going to write that down on my scratch pad just so I have it. And we are going to be flaps 8 with the dry runway conditions. We'll set all the speeds here, 134, 134, 143, 196, and then V2 plus 10 at 153 set in the speed bucket. And that's all in the PFD now. Excellent. And that's all matching now in the PerfNet page 1. ISO deviation today for the temperature, deviating from the standard atmosphere. My release is showing an ISO deviation of 0, and we are planned with a headwind of 1. So we'll put M1 for our cruise wind component. So I'll execute that for now. And then reserves, we're going to have 2,000 pounds of reserves and 500 pounds of taxi fuel. Move to the radio page, make sure they're both in auto mode, and then I'm going to set up the displays on the left and the right in this fashion with high nav aid, speed, altitude, missed approach, and on the second page here, range, altitude select, and long range nav position. And same on the right, except window will be set to on for the non-flying pilot. And that'll show that we're planning to land at Reagan National with 7,035 pounds of fuel on board. So we should have a good amount of fuel. We'll go over here to the perf page, make sure we have advisory VNAV enabled, and we're going to be doing a normal rated thrust takeoff since I don't have a way to get a good flex temp for takeoff yet in the CRJ. And fuel management, we'll put it on predicted mode, so it'll calculate. We can use that for planning purposes. But we should have plenty of fuel to get to Pittsburgh if we can't get into Reagan National this evening, so that's always a good thing to have. All right, well, let's move on to the rest of our checks here. We need to do our before start flow. And I was going to use PAC-X. I should probably go ahead and get that started. Let them go ahead and start boarding while we finish our checks. But we have the nozzle steering off. Stall protection pusher switch is on. Lighting's good. We shouldn't really need much of it today. We already have our V speed set. And format and range are in good. We'll go up here to the overhead panel and just do a quick flow through. All the generators are in auto. Do a quick fire detection monitor test before I start up the APU. It's good. Let's go ahead and get the APU fired up so we'll be ready to go. APU and byte test is complete. APU door is open, and here goes the start sequence. And Captain Matty, saw you were online earlier today watching V1's live stream. That was a good stream. He had a fun approach there into San Francisco. But yeah, V1 is definitely one of my favorite streamers in the flight sim community. He does a great job, especially if you want to learn about the Airbus, for sure. All right, well, we'll continue while the APU is starting up here. We have a hydraulic switches in auto and arm. The switches here all good. Bleed valves are in auto. Bleed air is in normal. Fuel pumps are off. You get our cabin pressure set. So Washington National has an airport elevation of 14 feet. Whopping 14 feet. So this should probably be just one little click on the knob, right? Yeah, 20 there. That'll work. And we have the pressure controller all set. Go ahead and turn on our recirc fan. Get some airflow in the back for everybody. And we'll let the APU warm up for just a second before I flip the packs on. Get our windshield and probe heats on. Seat belts, no smoking to on. And let's go right here through the mode control panel, make sure everything looks good. It is set. And I just need to put in the runway heading off runway 10 here at Syracuse. It's going to be a heading of 100, so not really much of a deviation from magnetic north. There we go. So 100. And I'll just come down here through the center area. Anti-skid is armed, the upper pedestal here. We have the thrust reversers arm. That's important. Don't forget that for sure. We'll get our TCAS set up, auto relative norm, and also on the first officer's side here, auto relative norm, and then return back. And trim switches, we'll check those really quickly. So aileron trim 1, 2. Let's make sure it turned. It did, and then I'll hold it for 2 seconds back the other way. 1, 2. Yep, we're right back. We'll go ahead and check the stab trim. We'll get it set to 7.2, which I typed in earlier. We went down and up, and there's 7.2. And let's check the rudder trim really quickly, make sure it's moving, which it is. Excellent. So I have that all checked. I don't have a stab trim disconnect switch mapped on my Honeycomb Alpha yet, so typically that's something you would do, is make sure you can disconnect the stab trim in case there was a runaway. But I do not have a way to model that quite yet in the sim, but if I get that set up, I'll definitely add that to our checks here, because that's a really important thing in the CRJ, so that you don't get a completely out of trim aircraft, which is, let me tell you, it is a handful to control. Alright, let's continue down here. Radar is off as it should be. Let's turn on our standby radio tuning unit, get it in standby. Stab trim's already engaged, Mach trim's now engaged. And let's go ahead and engage the yaw dampers really quickly. And then let's make sure they disconnect. Good. And we have that amber yaw damper message in the PFD, and also that yaw damper caution message in ED1. So we'll re-engage it. These messages are out. And it looks like everything is pretty much set here. We just need to do our departure briefing, and we'll be ready to get underway. So let's go ahead. I'll begin that departure briefing. So for airplane details and weights, we're in the CRJ 700 today. And plane takeoff, or sorry, plane gate fuel 9710. We have 9740 on board. Min fuel for takeoff is 9210. And we'll be taking off on the 71,000 pound card. For weather, Captain Matty, you obviously did a good job of giving us an update on the weather in Washington National. So it is kind of bad weather, not horrible, but instrument meteorological conditions. Last time we checked, forecast to be winds variable at 3 knots, 6 miles, mist, scattered 800 feet, broken at 1,000 feet. And the trend, which is always an important thing to look at in your forecast, it's going downhill weather-wise. So winds will be getting calm, which is going to maybe contribute to a potential for fog there at the runway with a close temperature and dew point. 4 miles visibility, mist, overcast 300. So more than likely we're going to be landing at ILS to runway 1 since it needs has a with 2 miles. Looks like it might be getting down to 2 miles later tonight, but we need just a half a mile visibility and that 200-foot ceiling to get in on that ILS to 1. So that's likely what we'll be planning to do. Back up and in Pittsburgh for our alternate, it's a much better weather. Forecast is calling for winds out of the south 5 knots, plus 6 miles clear skies. So if we can't get into Reagan National, Pittsburgh will be a great alternate. We should have a good 7,000 pounds of fuel when we get to Reagan National, which is more than enough to get to Pittsburgh. No NOTAMs that affect us today. We know about the prohibited airspace just to the east of Reagan National Airport. We'll follow air traffic control's instructions getting around that. The runway in use here is runway 10. Let me go ahead and pull up Navigraph for you all at home, just so you all can follow along. Matthew Presley, totally never pressed that instead of the sync switch before by accident. Okay, very cool. Are you talking about the yaw damper disconnect switch, Matthew Presley, or a different switch? I'm not sure. Or did you accidentally hit the stab trim disconnect in the real airplane? 'Cause yeah, it's easy to hit it by accident. All right, let me you get Streamlabs here. I'm using Streamlabs to help get this live stream. Navigraph charts. There we go. Now y'all can see what I'm looking at here. So we're planning to use runway 10, 9,003 feet available, but more than likely we'll take a taxi off of Foxtrot. So left turn after we push back Foxtrot, and right turn on Alpha and Victor to runway 10. And planning runway, it'll be a standard CRJ abort, which means that below 80 knots we'll abort the takeoff for a variety of reasons. Above 80 knots, only for an engine fire or failure, or the inability of the aircraft to get or stay airborne. So that's our plan for the takeoff portion. Let me check up, see what sort of stuff you all have here. Captain Matty Viref, did you release your personal fuel tank before takeoff? Release my personal fuel tank before takeoff. It's a lot. There's a lot of fuel on board. I'll say that. Matthew Presley, stab trim disconnect on the back of the. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's an important thing to. I actually have that mapped right now to transmit for air traffic control, but I might change that later on, especially for the CRJ. But here's our departure, and after we take off, we'll plan. I'll probably climb out. With the autopilot off for a bit. We'll level off at 4,000 feet via the Syracuse 2 departure. So off of runway 10, climb on a heading 100, which is set. Top altitude of 4,000 set. 200 knot airspace, since we're leaving out of Class Charlie until we get outside that central area, 2,500 feet AGL, and then we'll accelerate to 250 back around. I'm going to keep it at 200 until we're on course, just so we don't make the trip longer for us, right, distance wise. So that's another thing. Typically you'll just climb at 200 feet until you're heading in the right direction, then you accelerate. So you're using all your energy headed toward your destination or climbing, unless air traffic control tells you to do otherwise. But our plan is to keep us at 200 knots until we're headed south. All right, for our clearance, let me go ahead and take off the Navigraph charts. For our clearance now, so we have that Syracuse 2 departure, and then Syracuse Skypo. Let me pull up my release on my phone here. Sorry guys, my phone battery's getting low, so it turns down on it shuts down after about 30 seconds of inactivity. Okay, so Syracuse, Skypo, Pataki, VAFQ, let me do this too. I always like to do the plan mode. So let me go back here. Just make sure everything's connected. Syracuse. Let's try this again. There it goes. I think it's trying to take us back. Syracuse, Skypo, Pataki, VAFQ, and I'm watching here on the MFD in case y'all are wondering, because it's not sequencing on the FMS like it normally would. So VAFQ, Zucco, Elmira, then Phillipsburg, and on the arrival it's Shiloh, Skills, Baltimore, Eyes, Brunk, Felty, High Tech, Cavdy, and then it's vectors for the approach, which we have there. And we'll verify the arrival when we're en route. Total distance of 351, and like we said, we were planned at 387. I'll go ahead and copy active there. So that's complete. Let's go back to the map mode here. There we go. And transition altitude will be flyable 180, and that's all I have. Do you all have any questions at all? Captain Matty, you mean a waste tank? Okay, I see. Hey, Captain Matty, you suggest entering Kilo Bravo Whiskey India as an alternate. Baltimore, Washington International. So that pretty good. You know, we can keep that in mind. For our plan, we have Pittsburgh, but we can, yeah, we might just go up to Baltimore if we need to go around. I've already had the release made, but that's something you can definitely do if needed. So thanks for the info, Captain Matty. Well, if y'all don't have any questions, let's go ahead and run our before start check. So exterior inspection. Let's take a quick look at the exterior of the aircraft. You can see they've already pulled the jet bridge away. Looks like it's about time for us to close the doors up. Let me go ahead and, whoops, I didn't get the packs on yet, which is a nice thing to do. So external power, is that all disconnected? Now it is. We'll get all the doors closed up here. So external power is removed. Got the guardrails up on the air stairs. Door is now closed. Service door is closed. Cargo doors are closed. Alright. So we should be all closed up now. So exterior inspections complete. Pressurizations set. Anti-ice set. Hydraulic auto and on. Passenger signs on. Altimeters 3000. Cross-checked. IRS. Nav. Anti-skid. Armed. Thrust reversers. Armed. Parking brake is showing on. Radios, nav aids set. We're going to be on 22.8 and VATSIM. Let me do one quick check, make sure that we don't have any controllers online. We do not. So, yep, 122.8 will be our radio frequency on VATSIM. And yaw dampers engaged. Oxygen, need to check that really quickly. So I'll just hit the press to test switch right there. There we go. Oxygen checked 100%. Departure briefing complete. Before start check complete. Let's go ahead and do the engine start check. So I'll do the flow really quickly. Fuel pumps come on. We'll get the beacon on. And nozzle steering is off. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll assume that the tug is already connected. That way better pushback will work. So engine start check. FMS ACAR set. Fuel quantity 9710 planned, and we have 9695 on board. Min fuel will be 9210 for takeoff. Beacon on. Nozzle steering off. Fuel pumps on. Doors, let's check that really quickly. That's something I typically would do in the flow. Yep, all the doors are closed. The door's closed. Transponder on. Flight deck door. It's showing locked, and I guess we'll flip this over to locked also for the flight deck door. Engine start check complete. Alright, well, here we go. Let's go ahead and get our pushback. Let me do a quick look behind us, make sure I don't see anybody that we'll be pushing back into. Looks like it's clear behind us, which is a good thing. All right. So let me need to find the better push, or I'm sorry, it's called Pushback Express. That's what I'm using tonight. So let's give it a try here. Flight deck to ground. Flight deck to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start. We are ready for pushback and engine start. We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
Alright, that green advisory message is off, so our parking brakes are definitely released. Parking brakes released.
Pushing back.
Are we clear to start engines 1 and 2? Oh well, I don't think they recognize that. That's supposed to be a message that they'll respond to, I don't know. Alright. Well, they're getting us connected and we'll get rolling here in a second. So this is the payware scenery that's available in the marketplace for Syracuse. I'm also using the payware scenery for Reagan Nationals, so that'll be cool. Okay, so the thing with this Pushback Express is you have to tell them when to stop. It's not like Better Pushback where you can stop them yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the start sequence on 2 here. So start the timer, and because typically you start the engines spinning once you were beginning your pushback. Alright, stop pushback. And see, it takes them a few seconds to stop here.
Pushback complete. Set parking brakes, please.
Parking brakes set.
Roger. Okay, the tow bar is disconnected and the equipment is clear. We will see you on the right-hand side with the pin.
And there's fuel flow and light up. Thanks, and you can disconnect and go to hand signals.
Thanks. Have a good flight. See you later.
Alright. Well, there we go. That was a good pushback, and we're just finishing that engine start really quickly. And there goes a van that just drove right through the center of the aircraft. Oh man, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Alright, let's go ahead and start number 1. And it's gonna be a fairly short taxi, so we'll just go ahead and start both engines here. Alright, there's N2. Oil pressure. And ITT's good, just waiting on that N2. Yep, about 20%. And we'll introduce the fuel. There we go. Fuel flow. And light up.
All of this information and more can be found in the safety code located in the seat back in front of you. Please just reading this and letting the cabin member know if you have any questions. Thank you for flying with us again, and we hope you enjoy your flight.
Alright, very good. We're all lit up. Let's do the after start flow really quickly. Let's turn off the APU. Steering arms, good performance here. Alright, flaps 8. Watch your knees. And let's check the rudder really quickly. There we go. After start. Get all my papers organized here. Our generators, auto, bleeds, auto, packs on, cargo air. Need to take that down to conditioned air. Cargo air, conditioned air, anti-ice set, fuel pumps on, flight controls checked, rudder checked, nozzle steering armed, aperture check complete. Performance check, FMS, runway 10, vectors out to Syracuse, set, thrust full, 87.9. It's checked, trims are 7.2 and centered. Check, flaps 8 planned, 8 indicating, and speeds. Let me get this where I can see the PFD and the EFB. 134, 134, 143, 196, and 153 in the bucket set. Performance check complete, and we are clear on the right, clear on the left. Here we go, making a left-hand turn out. Syracuse traffic, blue streak 5083. Taxiing from Gate 8 Commercial Terminal to runway 10 via Foxtrot Alpha Victor, Syracuse International. Alright, so the cabin is ready now. So we will begin our taxi. And once we get out onto Alpha, I'll do the takeoff briefing for us. There's a quick exterior view for us. Beautiful sky this evening. We're going out of Syracuse. And I'm just going to drive right through this guy. I don't have time to wait. There we go. Obviously would not hit him in real life. I don't hear anybody on the radio, don't see anybody. So, looking like we're going to be getting right out of here, which is good. Alright, here comes our right turn on Alpha. And there's a van sitting there. I'm going to just take us around that van really quickly this way. So it's technically kind of no ground controller here at Syracuse. And once we get on Alpha, I'll do that takeoff briefing. Yeah, these airport vehicles are kind of crazy on Microsoft Flight Sim and in X-Flight too, honestly. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we're on Alpha now. I'll do a quick takeoff briefing. I'm going to take off out of Syracuse. Runway 10 will be full rated thrust, rolling bleeds on the engines. Flaps are set at 8 degrees, and our speeds, last quick check here, are 134, 134, 143, 196, and 153 in the bucket. That's all set. I'm going to turn off the EFB now. We'll be climbing 200 knots on a heading 100, up to 4,000 feet initially, 200 knot airspace, and standard CRJ abort. If y'all don't have anything else to add, we will go ahead and do the before takeoff check to the line. And we check the status messages, boxed them. Let's go ahead and do the before takeoff check to the line now. Takeoff briefing complete. Cross flow, auto override, manual. Ignition off, nav instruments checked. Fuel quantity 9210 min fuel. We have 9560 on board and balanced. ICAS check cleared. Brake temperatures are checked. Cabin ready. Before takeoff, check to line complete. And we'll be taking the next left turn up here on Victor. It's runway 10. So I'll try to start slowing us down. This thing's really picking up steam here. I forgot to turn on our taxi lights there. Typically turn on that nose landing light also. Okay, so there's runway 10. I'll go ahead and make our radio call. I don't hear anybody or see anybody. Syracuse traffic, Blue Streak, 5083, taking off runway 10. We'll be departing the pattern to the south, Syracuse. Alright, before takeoff check, below the line. So turn on all the lights. Takeoff configuration checked. NEI standard N1, 879 checked. External lights set. Before takeoff check complete, and we're showing a fuel load of 9540. So I'll write that down just so we know how much fuel we had when we took off. Which that actually did come in handy one time on a real flight when we lost some of our fuel quantity indications. So it was nice we had that number as a reference for when we actually did release the brakes for takeoff. Alright, runway 10 is verified on the pavement, and we see a heading of 100, 1, 2, 3 all the way across the board. I have controls. Hit the toga switch. Toto's enunciated. Here we go. Alright, set thrust. Thrust set. 80 knots. Check. V1. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. Speed mode. Heading mode. Beautiful scenery out there. Wow. There's 1,000 feet. So we'll start to get the flaps up here. Alright, flaps 1. Flaps up after takeoff check. Here's outs cap. Like I said, I'm going to keep us at 200 knots until we turn to the south. As typically we'd be following air traffic control. They'd be giving us vectors back around. It may be clear to climb to a higher altitude. But like I said, no point in wasting that fuel. So let me get our speed bug up to 200 knots here. There we are. Alright, we'll just assume they have cleared us to turn left heading 270 for now. And we're going to be leveling off at 4,000. I'm going to do this just to try to get a better feel for the airplane. I'm going to slow us back to 200 knots like I'd said. We don't have to stay at 200, but I'm just going to do that. I think I need to recalibrate my thrust levers a little bit. And for that after takeoff check, let me go ahead and run through that really quickly. Try to divide my attention. Don't get too far off. Alright, on the after takeoff check. Gear is up. Flaps 0. Crossflow auto override is showing auto, yep. Thrust climb, it's actually back to manual now. Thrust versus opt ICAS is checked. After takeoff check is complete. doing a nice lap around Syracuse here. Alright, I'll maintain this heading of 270 at 4,000 feet. There we are. And I'm going to accelerate us up to 250 knots now. So let me go ahead and set that speeding bug up there, and then I'll accelerate us. But just since we're uncontrolled right now, it's just a fun way to get to practice a little bit. Alright, so once I put this thrust in, we're obviously going to need, the airplane's going to be trying to climb on me, so we're going to need a little bit more downward trim. There it goes. So I'm going to practice accelerating and climb. You can see it does not take long in climb thrusts to accelerate back up to 250 knots. Alright, well that was fun. Let me go ahead and turn the autopilot on. Autopilot's engaged. And we'll climb up to, all the way up to, let's go to flight level 260. Start. 26 is set. And speed mode, climb at 250, and let's go to climb thrust. Climb thrust set, and we should begin our climb. And clear to rec to Skypo. There it is, Skypo, execute, and nav mode. And FMS 1. There we go. And there's a nice view of the airport from up above. See if I can get us outside the aircraft, get a good view of that. Yeah, there we go. Very cool. And let's see, I'm trying to find downtown Syracuse. I'm not sure exactly where it is in relation to the airport, but and this airplane climbs very well. Alright, once we get established on this heading, I'm going to sync the heading bug just so it we have that as a reference in case we were to just lose all FMS input. Just good practice to be in. And likely when we get up here to the cloud layer, we're going to need to turn on our KSYR since we'll be below total air temperature of 10 C. So let's keep that in mind.
This is also a reminder to phone traffic throughout the duration of the flight, not form a line with the last one. This aircraft is equipped with onboard Wi-Fi. If you wish to connect to the Wi-Fi, direct the service to a small for internet access.
Alright, there's 10,000. Go ahead and give the bells. Let's turn on the KSYR. And I'm just going to keep us climbing at 250, get through this cloud layer to reduce the amount of icing we might pick up here. Alright. Yeah, it looks like we had a massive change in some sort of atmospheric condition. The aircraft pitched up sharply. I might have to disconnect the autopilot. Yep. It's doing something crazy there. Hey, Captain Shack. Just got done streaming. Hope I didn't miss much. No, you didn't. You didn't. Still having internet issues, unfortunately, even after having the internet company out here earlier this week. So I'm going to have to call them back out again next week, I suppose. They've been trying a lot of things, so I had to restart the stream again, so I lost everybody. So, but I'm glad you're here, Shaq. Glad you're here. Alright, we have ice enunciated there as an advisory message, so we do need to turn on the wing anti-ice now also. So when you see that, that's an automatic, we're getting the wing anti-ice on too. So I'm going to switch this to pitch mode for a bit. So you see that's kind of the default mode for vertical guidance in the CRJ. And if you wanted to change the pitch while with the autopilot engaged, you actually use this wheel over here. So watch when I roll it, see you can change the pitch up. But for us to climb at 290 or 250 knots or so, I'm just going to keep it below 5 degrees of pitch. And we actually need to accelerate a bit. The autopilot was just going crazy in speed mode a little while ago, so we're going to be climbing through quite a bit of icing, especially as we get into the tops of these clouds. Let's take a look at the outside. I wonder if it's showing any airframe icing. Alright, there we go. Well, Shaq, oh man, sorry to hear that. We have had bad storms in Charlotte to knock our internet out, but we're doing well now. Good. I'm glad y'all are doing alright, Shaq. Yeah, we have some bad storms on the way to where I am in Tennessee, near Nashville, so I think they're planning to hit sometime around when we be getting to Washington, D.C. tonight. So I'm pulling up my radar right now on the phone, and I'm thinking we're going to be getting storms here pretty shortly. Alright, well, we're at least getting through the clouds a bit now. And wow, I sure do love the beautiful scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's tough to beat. And I'm still having internet issues, Shaq, so if it does go out, I'm going to post a full video of this afterwards, and I'll keep restarting a stream as needed so that we can keep doing this. Alright, so there's level 180, so 2992. Could have let me do that. I'm going to have to set it manually, I suppose. 2992 and climb check. So we'll go ahead and get the landing lights off. Logo lights, wing inspections off. And we're going to leave that cowl and wing anti-ice on for now. And it looks like the internet went out again, so let me looks like it reconnected, so hopefully it's working. Quite a bit of clouds out here today, and I know the weather radar does not work yet in the Aerosoft CRJ, but I'll go ahead and try to simulate some of it anyways. And I'm just going to keep this climb at 250, try to get up above all this weather. Now you can see that pitch of just a little below 5 degrees. That is keeping us right about 250 knots. And if you want to get about 290, if I remember correctly, it's just about 2.5 degrees pitch up if you're in pitch mode. So that was a technique I know some guys use flying the CRJ as a smooth way to accelerate. But definitely it's something not everybody likes to use pitch mode, and some captains do not want you in pitch mode at all. So it just depends on who you're flying with. Captain Shack, have you ever flown this route back in your CRJ days? No. I actually was based at Washington Dulles for many years, so I never flew into National ever. Operating an aircraft. I rode in there many times as a passenger, but I've only been into DCA on the simulator. But been into Dulles. Wow, it wouldn't surprise me if it's been 1,000 times I've been into Dulles, or definitely hundreds of times to Dulles, but not DCA. So now I have been to Syracuse. Alright, Looks like the stream might have died again, so I'm gonna have to let me restart it again. Let's try this again. Alright, so when we get to that static air temperature of -40°C, that's when we can turn off the wing and cal anti-ice, as long as we don't have that ice advisory message posted here, which we don't right now, but I'm just going to leave on the wing and cal anti-ice for now, since we've been in and out of that pretty good icing conditions. They get some pretty mean icing up around the Great Lakes too. That's one thing I definitely remember from my time flying around this part of the country. You gotta watch out for it. Man, what a beautiful shot there. Look at that. At least the frame rates are pretty smooth here. Alright, I'm gonna try speed mode again. Let's see if it will. Whoops. Yeah, I don't think it's working too well. I need to reduce our pitch. Looks like we're leveling off now at flight level 260. And I'm going to let us accelerate. Now you do not want to have a high altitude stall, I can tell you that. You use a lot of altitude. So I'm going to try to put this vertical speed of 500 feet per minute and see if this will level off. Autopilot is just not acting correctly right now. So I'm going to level this off at 260, try to let us build up some airspeed. We're just not accelerating right now. I do not see airframe icing, but I'm guessing maybe there's something with the Aerosoft modeling where it is saying that we have a lot of ice on the aircraft. I'm going to turn on continuous ignition too, just in case. It's going to try to cause some crazy stuff with the engine too. But you can see we are not accelerating, and we're only climbing at 500 feet per minute. Obviously these engines, they typically, you want to keep it above 250 knots when you're above 10,000 feet climbing out with these engines. So I'm just going to level this off here. Let's see if we can pick up some airspeed. I'm going to try to adjust the thrust levers, see if I can kick this thing into gear. Alright. Paul Falco, what's going on, VRF? Not much. Glad you're aboard, Paul Falco. We're having some bad storms down here where I am, and internet's spotty. So, other than that, it's going well. Also, aircraft is, I think we picked up some ice. It's not wanting to accelerate, so I'm going to keep it at flight level 260, try to pick up some speed. It's acting kind of funny, honestly. So I think that might just be a Microsoft Flight Simulator Aerosoft issue, because typically you wouldn't have trouble accelerating in just standard icing. Like I said, looking at the exterior, definitely don't see any ice accretion visually, but that does not mean that the flight model isn't showing a lot of ice accretion. So one thing to keep in mind here, we're at a lower altitude, which means we're going to have increased fuel flow. You can see originally we were planning to get to Washington National with over 7,000 pounds of fuel. Now it's down to 6,690. So we're not going to have quite as much fuel, it's looking like, with this odd stuff that's going on with the performance of the aircraft right now. I'm definitely going to leave on the wing and Cal anti-ice. Alright, so our cruise altitude today, we're planning flyable tree 60. I'm gonna go ahead and set that in. I'm gonna see if I can't just climb us up there. So I'm getting us accelerating to I'm just gonna put us at 500 feet per minute in the climb for now. Try to get us up above these cloud tops. Let's see what we can get at a climb of 270. There we go. And maybe the Aerosoft model doesn't like having the wing anti-ice on. Maybe that's what's causing us some serious issues here. But we'll try to start with this climb at 270. Looks like we're getting about 1,000 feet per minute, which is too bad. And looks like air traffic control wise, no longer showing anyone online in the Washington DC area, so looks like we'll likely just be landing in uncontrolled airspace down there. So if the weather allows it, we'll try the river visual, but I don't believe it will. I'm going to pull up the weather right now at DCA. Okay, so currently showing winds 040 at 8, 10 miles, overcast 1200. And for that river visual that we were hoping to get to do, which the weather was perfect for that on Monday night when we were originally going to do it. Not tonight though. We need 3,500 foot ceilings and 3 miles of visibility, so we definitely don't have that because the ceiling, we have the visibility, we have 10 miles of visibility, but the ceiling is at 1,200 feet. So we're going to be planning on the, and winds are 040 at 8, so we have a 10 knot tailwind limitation in the CRJ. And you definitely don't want to be landing long at DCA. So we're gonna, well, looks like we are out of the icing conditions now. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to standard on the anti-ice. Continuous conditions coming off. Wing and Cal anti-ice off. Looks like we had a nice thrust boost there. And look, I think that's what the problem was. Just having the wing and Cal anti-ice on. Highly exaggerated here in the Aerosoft CRJ. Look at that, we got about 1,000 foot per minute boost in our climb rate. I'm going to take us up to 290 knots for the climb now. Should get us there pretty quickly, and we'll keep going. And look at that view, that is beautiful. Paul Falco, are you on VATSIM? Yes, I am on VATSIM right now. So you'll see me, Julia India Alpha, which is the ICAO code for Blue Streak, 5083. All right. So we're actually going to be getting onto the arrival when we finally get to our cruising altitude. So it's probably going to be a pretty quick turnaround from when we get up there until it's time to start our descent in. I'm trying to pull up the arrival on my end here. Captain Matty, bro, what happened? Captain Matty, my internet is not working, even though I've had the technicians out here this week. So I'm going to call them again next week. So I'll just keep reconnecting and post the full video that's recording on my computer. But I do apologize for that. It's this has been an ongoing issue for quite some time. What happened earlier today in the UK, Captain Matty? I would like to know. Looks like we're finally going to make it up to our cruising altitude, which is a good thing. And there's half bank. That comes on at 31,600 feet. That's automatic. And I'm still having internet issues, so I'm probably going to lose you guys, unfortunately. I'm really sorry about that. Honestly, if this keeps up, I'll probably get another different internet provider. So, well, yep, there it goes again. Well, when we level off, it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround back to the arrival here. So, alright, well, let me end this stream and start another stream, if it'll let me. Looks like I'm at least back on BatSim now. Alright, coming up on 35, 36. 35, 36, there we go. I'm just going to keep us at 0.75 Mach, since we will need a little bit of time to go ahead and brief the arrival and the approach. Alright, should be coming to AltsCap very soon. And we're obviously getting pretty close to our max cruise altitude for today. You can see we're right about 500 feet per minute as we're finishing this off. So there we go, AltsCap. And we're showing 7,125 pounds of fuel at top of climb, and we were planning 69.98. So we're still a little bit ahead of what we planned there. All right. So yeah, internet's basically just gone. turn off the seatbelt sign for just a bit. And alright, so on the arrival, looking at Phillipsburg, and it's Shiloh Skills at 12,000. Let me set that up really quickly. There we go, execute that. And yeah, I don't have internet again. So I can't look at the charts when internet's not working. So what I need to do is take a screenshot of this chart. And we do have the storms coming through my area right now in real life, so I don't know if that is playing a role in the internet issues or if it's just I don't know. I'm gonna have to get cable company out here to take a look at it again. And it was working just fine. Last night, actually, I was using internet. It was working fine, so I don't know what's causing the issues. It definitely is unacceptable at this point. But the computer's working fine. The simulator's working fine. It's just I can't look at the charts or anything. Alright, I'm going to pull it up on my cell phone. So for the skills, so we had skills expect to cross at 12, which that's what we're going to do if it's uncontrolled. And then Baltimore 250 at 10,000 knots. I don't know, it did not load these altitudes in here, so I'll just have to do it. So Baltimore at 250 and 10, I'll execute that for now. And then Eyes, Brunk, Felty, High-Tech, and Cobdi. And then vectors from there. I'm going to reduce our thrust just a bit. And then on the approach, ILS to runway 1, looking at Washington National, 23rd of March, 18, 11-1, ILS runway 1. Equalizer frequency is going to be 109.9. We'll get that set on the radio tuning unit on both the left and the right side. There we go. Final approach course will be 006. Glide slope at Baden, which should be at 1,600 feet. Minimum is Cat 1. DA is going to be 214, so we'll set 220 in the MDA window. Alright, 220 is set right there. We need half a mile visibility. We have 10 miles available, and we're looking at, I think it was the ceiling at about 1,000 feet right now. We'll be coming in on basically what will be basically kind of a right downwind. There is a tower out there at 1,050 feet. That is the highest obstacle, and there we do have the prohibited P56 area 1.5 miles north of Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Avoid from surface to 18,000 feet. So we're coming up on our top of descent in a few miles, so we'll keep an eye out for that. You have snowflake, make sure I don't miss that. And if we break out, we're looking for Pappy on the Rip, altitude lighting. And for our taxi in today, we're parking at gate 33, which is on the middle pier. So be a left-hand turnoff, likely at Sierra at the end of the runway, then Juliet, you have to get clearance to cross runway 33, and Juliet, Kilo 2 into the ramp. That's the briefing. Let's go ahead and get the landing data set really quickly. Turn on our EFB. So landing speeds, we're gonna have try to get the stream started again for everybody. Really somewhere. Okay, so for our landing speeds here, looking at a VT of 228. That set VT 228. Now I just set V1 to whatever VREF is. So it's gonna be 138. VREF is 138, and then V2 showing 146. All right, so that's all set. Plenty of runway. And there's our VNAV snowflake. So I'm gonna set 12,000 in, send via the skills arrival. Here we go. Looks like our descent rate is gonna have to be about 2,500 feet per minute right now. Turn on our fasten seatbelt sign again. Alright. Keep it about 290 knots right now. We'll just follow that all the way down. 270, I mean. And eventually we'll slow to 250 by the time we get to Baltimore. Alright, looks like still don't have anybody online and that's them, so Dulles approach or Dulles Cat Matty, what is happening with you? Are you sick? No, I'm not sick. My internet is not working tonight. So, and that's after I've had technicians out here 3 times in the last few weeks. So they're trying to diagnose what the problem is with the internet at my house. So they'll obviously be coming back out next week. So I might try to do a stream on Monday, I might not, depending on how the internet's looking that night. But, okay, so like I said, this video, the full flight, will be uploaded afterwards. I've already briefed the approach. So we're planning the ILS runway 1. You can see I have the MDA set 220. We've begun our descent on the skills 4 arrival, following that white VNAV snowflake to cross skills at 12,000, and then Baltimore at 250 knots and 10,000 feet. And basically that's going to set us up on a right downwind to come back to land on runway 1 at Washington National for the ILS approach, which we're not going to be able to do that visual today to runway 19 due to the weather being IMC. And let me get the latest forecast, the latest weather report at Washington National. It's staying pretty steady, 10 miles winds out of the northeast, 8 knots, overcast 1,200 feet, and there's a 2-degree temperature dew point spread, so at least we have that going to keep the visibility up, and the winds are still blowing. So when the winds get calm, that's when we can probably expect some fog to start drifting in there at National. And we have a little bit of a tailwind, as you can see there, 10 knots. So we're getting a little boost on our ground speed. And I'm going to go ahead and set our speed bug back to 250, so remember to slow to 250 knots when we get to Baltimore. So there we go, 250 is set. And Cap Matty, if you're still there, I think you had said something had happened in the United Kingdom today. Were you referring to the death in the royal family? Because I did hear about that. It was, Philip was 99 years old, so certainly send our condolences to the Queen and the royal family, and obviously the nation as they mourn over there in the United Kingdom. Alright, something weird's going on. You just see that? That must have been some turbulence. And the autopilot needs to get back to tracking to 2,700 feet down, which it is not. Let me disconnect the autopilot really quickly. I'm going to try to manually get us going down at 2,700 feet per minute. I don't know what just happened there. Maybe we'll have to hand fly the whole arrival and approach. That'd be that happens. Okay, Captain Matty, you flew from LAX to Syracuse to be with you, and then I am joining another stream tomorrow after going to Seattle from DCA. Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks for flying up to join. You know, one of these days, the technicians are going to figure out what is causing my horrible internet connection here. And either that or I'm going to be switching providers, because I definitely pay to have a fast internet connection here. But one of these days we'll be able to fully fly together on here, and I won't be getting disconnected constantly. So I look forward to that. Alright, we'll take us back over here. I think the flight director, I'm not going to follow the flight director as much right now, because so there's a green dot here that shows our actual track. So I'm just going to line that up over here on the course deflection indicator. And that should get us back on track. So we're definitely not going to be at 12,000 feet at skills. I think it might have been, that was just an expect altitude. So what is the, I think it's showing at or above 12,000. Got Matty, LOL, I had internet that booted itself the whole freaking day. Yeah, it's annoying. It definitely didn't notice it as much until, you know, nowadays we're in this, like everything is connected to the internet, so it's definitely quite a bit different. Alright, now hopefully the autopilot will start to descend at 2,700 feet per minute. Alright, current altimeter setting at, which it's not. I don't know why the autopilot isn't working. Look at that. It's just not descending. Okay, I'll slow us to 250, then we'll just go down. Altimeter is 3006. Let me set that. The airplane's just acting really weird on me for some reason. I'm just gonna let's see if it'll descend us at 250 knots. No, it will not descend us. It's just holding altitude now. So, alright, autopilot's disconnected. I'm just going to manually fly. I'm going to set 10,000 in for our altitude at Baltimore. So we're going to plan on 10,000 feet, 250 knots. Now let's go ahead and do the descent. So arrival check, altimeter is 3006, cross checked, landing data is set, pressurization is checked, Passenger signs on. Externally set. Arrival briefing complete. Arrival check complete. Alright. So we're on track to get to Baltimore at 250 knots, 10,000 feet. So that's what we'll do. It looks like the autopilot is going to have to be written up when we get into Washington National. So it's a CRJ kind of day, right? Internet's not working, the autopilot's not working, so we'll get to hand fly it all the way in. So this will be a good practice, though. And see, the flight director's not really working either, because it's basically following. So we'll go raw data. We'll just do raw data into DCA. I'll try to reboot everything here in a bit, but it's not working right now. So this will be a good test. I'll be hand flying and trying to do everything in this multi-crew aircraft and self-vectoring onto the approach. So this will be a fun time. Oh, let me get some lights on just in case it's a little bit dark when we get into the clouds. Just in case. So we don't run into any surprises down there where we can't see an instrument or something. Alright, so I'm looking at this magenta banana bar here, and I'm going to try to get that right about at Baltimore. That means that we'll level off 10,000 feet at Baltimore. We're holding 250 knots in the descent right now. Captain Matty pops open a diet soda that has the labeling of whiskey. There you go. I guess whiskey's low cal compared to beer, right? Yeah. It's a diet beverage in its own right. Alright. Well, hopefully the engines don't shut down completely on us, because we're definitely hitting some bugs right now in this aircraft. I don't know what's going on, but it's hard IMC down below us. And right now we just circle over Baltimore and try to drift in there. So yeah, I do not know exactly what's going on with the autopilot. When we level off at 10,000 feet, I think I might try to reactivate it and see if we can get it to work. Otherwise, raw data. Yes, Captain Matty, absolutely. Man, maintenance must meet us at our arrival. I 100% agree. I'm going to go ahead and give the flight attendants the bells now, so I don't have to do that in a second when we level off. Alright, we're 11 for 10,000. And let me take the range down a bit just so it's a little easier to see what we're doing. And let me look at the temperature there on the surface DCA. It is it's a 14C, so we should not, will not have to land with anti-ice on, which is good. Alright, here we come for our outs cap at 10,000 feet. Obviously we're not going to see outs cap since the flight director's off right now. Alright, there's 10,000, so we'll level off. And my computer's locking up. Okay, there it goes. Now it's running again. Alright, 10,000 is set. So I'm going to try to get this trimmed out. And we'll be turning to the right to eyes here in just a second. So another couple of miles. And so this is one thing that's weird about the CRJ. See, I tried to add a little bit of thrust. It took me back to flight idle and then immediately jumped to climb thrust. So yeah, I've got to get these thrust levers worked out. Alright, so there we go. Like I said, this This little green dot there is a lifesaver when you're flying raw data, just to help you correct for any wind drift, because we do have a right to left quartering headwind now, and I'm a little above our airspeed, so I'm going to try to pull the thrust back. Let's begin our descent down to, let's take us down to 5,000 now. And we're below 10,000 feet, so I need to be at 250 knots. So 5,000 is set. I'm just going to send us at flight idle. Once I get to 100 feet, I suggest cutting engine 1 and lower flaps to full. Alright. Alright, there's, let me set nav mode, speed mode, autopilot on, and look, now it's working. Okay, good. So I'm gonna switch it back to vertical speed. Let's just go down at 1,000 feet per minute. There we go. So it looks like the autopilot is working again. So we'll just keep an eye on it. It's just one of those days, right? When it rains, it pours. Alright, I'm going to sync up the heading bug again.
Rating traffic here, 311 crossing traffic, final 01.
And I want to make a radio call. I heard somebody there. We're about 20 miles up to the northeast. Reagan traffic, Blue Streak, 5083, CRJ 700, 20 miles to the northeast, inbound, ILS runway 1, Reagan National. Yeah, my thrust levers are all, see, I wasn't even moving the thrust levers, and look at them jumping around. So, alright, so on our approach, out here at Catton, it'll be 2,500 feet, at or above 2,500 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and set in 3,000 feet in the altitude window, take us down there. So there's 3,000 set, and I'm going to increase our rate of descent. We'll do 1,500 feet per minute. We'll thrust back a bit. There we go. And there's our little glimpse of DC down below. Not all we're going to get to see today, unfortunately. Until we're on final approach, of course. Which visibility is supposed to be great, so we'll probably get a decent view of the Washington Monument in the distance and some of the other sites. But I'll have to come in another time when my internet's working and get a nice live stream of the river visual to runway 19. Alright, so here we go into the clouds. We're showing a total air temperature of 17 C, so we are not technically in icing conditions. We'll keep an eye out for that icing advisory message. Captain Matty, I was flying from LAX to SFO, but had to divert to San Jose due to wacky autopilot, and you lost both engines with freaking fuel. Oh my goodness. That was an exciting day, huh? That sounds crazy. Alright, so there's some sort of a dead zone in my thrust levers right in this area. You see it goes to flight idle. So I'll have to work on that after this flight's over. Alright, so starting to get a little dark out as we get down below the cloud deck here. I'm keeping our speed up just to get us down on this downwind leg. There's 4,000 for 3,000. I'm going to reduce our vertical speed a bit to 1,000 feet per minute for this final segment of the descent. And then we're going to slow to 200 knots. When we level off. And I'll take our range down just a bit. There we go. There's outs cap. And we'll begin to slow to 200 knots. And Cap Matt, you said with all of that happening, the wacky autopilot losing both engines, you still landed successfully. Very cool. Did you happen to catch it on video, Maddie? That would be the. I would love to see that if you did capture it on video.
Reagan National Traffic, American 311 clear, 01.
Reagan National Traffic, Blue Streak, 5083, right downwind for the ILS runway 1, Reagan National. Alright, here we come. We're not in icing conditions, so I'm going to go flaps 1. Let's descend to 2,500 now. Yeah, having these engines act like this in real life would make the passengers sick. Because you can feel all that acceleration and deceleration. I would not want to be on this airplane in real life if the engines were this bad. Alright, let's go flaps 8.
Reagan National, Southwest 1318 going to be taxiing runway 01 via Kilo. I will cross 22 and join Juliet Reagan traffic.
Alright, so let me switch over and make sure. So there's a little bit of traffic there on the airfield at the moment. There's our outs cap. And we'll turn it on to our right base here in just a minute. I want to intercept outside of Cairn. Alright, let's go heading mode. And we'll switch to our frequency here, 1099. And green needles. And we're clear for the approach, so I'll arm approach mode here in just a bit. Let's go flaps 20. I can get our speed to hold steady. Alright, approach mode is armed. Reagan National Traffic, Blue Streak 5083, CRJ 700 outside Cairn for the, or Katrin for the ILS runway 1 approach. Reagan National. Gear down. Flaps 30. Slow to 160 now. Arm the thrust reversers. There's 160 set. Let's get us a little bit better of an intercept here. Glide slope is alive. And this is where I'm basically following those parameters that are on the Loc 1. Localizer's alive. Basically following the parameters that are on the profiles that I posted on, I believe that was maybe the 3rd tutorial video that was posted for the CRJ. So it at least gives you some good targets, things to hit. So when we get to the glide slope intercept, we'll go flaps 45 and set the speed bug to VREF plus factor, which tonight is just going to be +5. So basically, you just set the bottom of that speed bug right on the
Southwest
VR down
1318
there.
crossing runway 22 at Juliet.
All right, there's glide slope capture, so flaps 45 and bug ref plus factor. Landing check, gear down, down, flaps 45, 45, thrust reversers armed. We'll go ahead and box the status messages, landing check complete. And I'm going to clean up the approach. We're going direct to Baden. There we go. Get that cleaned up. Should have done that a little bit sooner, but alright, here we go. So IMC conditions. We'll see if we break out. So Cap Matt, you did not capture on it. Ah, that's a bummer. Well, maybe next time. Maybe next time, man. Alright, we're just above the icing condition parameters. We're at 13C. Approach lights in sight, 12 o'clock. And I have the Potomac in sight. This is a cool view, guys. Yep, looks like we are going to get everything in sight. Look at that. Wow. Stuff. Kind of a foggy day on the Potomac. Reagan National traffic. Blue Streak 5083, 4 mile final, runway 1. Reagan National. Alright, runway's inside. Autopilot's coming off. I hand fly it from here. And Missed Approach heading in altitude. I need to get that set. Instruments cross check, gear down, clear to land. We are stable. 2,200 is going to be our
Reagan National traffic, Southwest 1318 going to hold short runway 1 for approaching traffic, National traffic.
Alright, so he's holding short. That's good. And look, we have a pretty good view of DC area. And flying up, we're just slightly slower right at VREF. Need to speed up a few knots. I'm just reducing our descent rate. We're right back on the glide slope now. And it's a left-hand turn to 325 if we do need to go around this. We'll fly off the Potomac, heading at 325 up to 2,200 feet. Stay out of that prohibited airspace. And now look, we're floating back up.
300. 200.
Runway's in sight.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Get it on the ground. There it goes. Spoiler's green. We'll just take it to the end. There's 90 knots. We'll start the thrust reversers. And we'll try to get out of the way of this Southwest flight trying to take off. There's the Washington Monument. Clearly see it there. Alright. Alright, we'll exit here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Washington. The local time is 6:52 p.m.
Washington National traffic. Blue Streak 5083, clear runway 1 at Sierra, Washington National. I'm going to hold short right here for a second. Let's make sure, yeah, we're clear of the runway. Let's get our lights off. And I'm going to go ahead and raise the flaps. And get the APU started. And then we'll start a taxi. There's just a lot to look at here. Slightly unfamiliar with this airport. Let me turn the, oops, went the wrong way there. There it goes. If it will go, and we need to turn off our radars. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this while we're standing still here. Alright, radar's off. Okay. So I think what we'll do, we'll cross runway Tree at Sierra also, and then...
Reagan traffic, Southwest 1318 going to be taking runway 1, departing to the north. Reagan traffic.
Reagan traffic, Blue Streak 5083, crossing runway Tree at Sierra, and then we'll taxi to the terminal via November and Juliet. Reagan traffic. Alright, clear left, clear right, clear to cross. Let's get the lights on here. We'll cross the runway, and we have a crazy truck in the way, which I don't know why he's there. We're not going to worry about it. Butter, Captain Mac, thank you. Appreciate the butter shout out. Alright, this scenery definitely looks nice. I can definitely say that. So, you know, if I can just get my internet working when I'm doing a live stream, then maybe we can have a butter live stream. Like the computer's working fine, it's just the internet for some reason. So, alright. Let's get all the bright lights off here. Strobes off. We don't need the logo wing inspection on right now. Taxi to Terminal 1. Yeah, we're going to be parking at gate 33 this evening. So it's the Central Pier. The Central Pier. So it should be coming up, I believe it'll be right down in this area here. Have I heard of AF90? No, I have not. I have not heard of AF90. Please enlighten me, Captain Matty. I have not heard of AF90. And look at this, a belt loader driving in the middle of a taxiway. Sorry, bud, you're not supposed to be here. Alright. Alright, here's our... We'll be parking right there at gate... there's 34, here comes gate 33. So that's where we'll taxi to. And this is that pay-where scenery that's available in the marketplace, and this is great looking. Let me look at it. You can see in the terminal there. I'll try to take us through on a quick tour of the airport here once we get off the aircraft. There's a gate 33 is occupied, so yeah, we'll just park at gate 32. That'll work. Turn off the nose landing light, recac taxi lights. That's pretty cool looking with the sun through that thin overcast layer. Yeah, we don't have a marshaller. It's too bad. I'll just self-marshal this in. Alright, there we go. Maybe not the smoothest stop, but we are here. So parking brake is set. Green advisory, always checked for that. And looks like we do have the APU on, so go ahead and start shutting down the engines now. Start with 2 and 1. There we go. Beacon off. Seatbelt sign is now off. If I can get up, let's get the door open. And also get our let's see, passenger door open, wheel chocks in place, guardrails down for the jetway, and also I want to get the jet bridge connected. I'm hoping they'll add a button in the EFB to get the jet bridge connected. I'm going to use Pushback Express. Let me load that up again. Captain Air Florida Flight 90 was a scheduled U.S. Yes, I did hear about that one. They had they crashed right into the Potomac. Yeah, that was really sad. Really, really sad. All right, we'll get the baggage cart coming out here. All right. Well, let's keep running through our flow here. We have the beacon off, nav lights, we'll keep those on. Hydraulics, let's check those really quickly, make sure the levels look good. They're all in the green. Okay, we'll turn off all the hydraulic pumps. Come back up, APU's good. Turn off the fuel pumps now that the engine's off. I want to turn off the conditioned air and the recirc fan. Anti-ice is all off. It's good. No, seatbelt signs off, and we can turn off the IRS now. So I'm going to run through the parking check really quickly. Park and brake on. Transponder is on standby. Radar, they are both off. Anti-ice off. Electrical set. Fuel check valve not required. Thrust levers shut off. Fuel pumps off. Ignition off. Hydraulic checked off. Beacon off. And nozzle steering. Let me turn that off. Parking check is complete. Alright, so here we are at Washington National Airport. I'm going to switch this back to White Needles for the next crew coming in. Let's go take a quick peek at the airport here. It's a neat looking place. So let me see if I'm going to have to use the developer mode camera. So let me do that really quickly. Hopefully this won't crash everything with me pausing here, and you never know quite what's going to happen in Flight Sim with all the constant updates and patches. And I was getting some weird messages earlier. So here we are. You know, typically you do a quick run through of the walk around of the aircraft after you exit. So we can simulate that. Just make sure everything looks like it's in place. Obviously, I'd write up the autopilot at this point if we were on the ground. And honestly, you're not going to be very popular with other crews if you write up the autopilot and it doesn't really need to be written up, because then they're going to be flying without the autopilot, which is not a lot of fun if you're flying all day without an autopilot. Alright, well here we are. Let's walk up the jet bridge. Captain Medi, UAL 90 is the current day name of the flight right now, minus the crashing bits. Alright. Well, certainly don't want to see anybody else in the Potomac like that. But look at this view in the terminal. This is pretty cool. We can clearly see the aircraft. This would be a fun place to start. I know one of the next flights I was hoping to do is Reagan National up to Portland, Maine for that harbor visual. Captain Shack had recommended that flight in addition to this one, but I think he was hoping to see the river visual to 19, so I'll have to do that another time. But look, it's really cool. You can see out all over the airport, and just an excellent modeling of the interior of the terminal here. So let's walk down past the shops here, and we'll go to the main area of the terminal where we'll see the some of the restaurants and other things. Here's the security checkpoint area. So we'll go through security, and look at this. Isn't this neat? And this looks a lot like the real Reagan National Airport. I will say it's a neat place to go in real life. They even have the signs here. So I used to have to commute to Dulles Airport, so I'd come into Reagan National sometimes and take the metro out to as far as I could get to Dulles. Back then you'd have to take the bus. Now I think they have a silver line that takes you even closer to Dulles Airport. I'm not sure if they finished that yet or not. They're supposed to have the metro connect all the way between Reagan National and Dulles, last I heard. But look at that, some of the artwork showing off the DC area.
Reagan traffic, Delta 490, taxi runway 1.
Let's see if we can't get ourselves out to the metro here.
Cross runway 22 at
So we'll
Juliet.
follow the signs. So
Reagan
we
traffic.
need to keep going. Let's see. Metro this way. So yep, that seems to be right from what I can remember going here. You just follow the signs, and there's a Delta. What is that? 7. I don't know what that is. Metro's down this way. LOL, your passengers. Yeah, absolutely. Alright, there's Metro. We're going to keep going down this way. Everybody's frozen in here. And then I think typically, I feel like the Metro's right. Look at that. The escalators are even working. Let's go up the escalators really quickly. This is cool. And this must be, yep, this is where we could get out on the vehicles here. And the Metro, you would go down on the lower level here. And I don't think they don't have it clearly marked, because you walk, it's through one of these doors over here from what I remember. You actually go underneath all the, yeah, see, you'd go underneath, I think it's this right here. Yep, all these walls. And then here you are getting into the Metro area. I think it's right out here somewhere, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there it is. Sorry, there's the Metro. There's the Metro track. I was gonna say, yeah, you like come down here and you go up some escalators, which obviously they don't have it completely simulated, but they're the escalators and stairs. Yeah. You come up here, and there you are. You get to wait on the Metro, which, look, they even have the Metros. Very cool. And, yep, they have the yellow line, the blue line, Largo, Greenbelt. That's accurate. So, very cool. Well, here we are at Reagan National. Wow, look at that. The train's even riding away. This is a really detailed, pretty cool scenery. And look, they even have all the office buildings modeled over there. That's the Lockheed Martin building, and I did buy the Washington Landmarks pack too. That's available in the marketplace. So I don't know. Some of those are probably those buildings are coming from the Washington Landmarks. But anyways, well, I'm glad we at least made it to Washington D.C. and the Reagan National Airport. Apologize if the stream was cutting out. I will continue to work on that. The poor technicians have spent hours at my house up to this point, so we'll keep trying to troubleshoot it. But I will have this full video loaded onto the YouTube channel here shortly. But thanks for tuning in, Captain Matty. Thank you for your dedication to continue to tune into this, and look forward to seeing you all again on the next flight. I will try to stream again Monday night. It'll be after 10 o'clock. And we'll see. Might be a flight up to Portland, Maine out of DCA here. So until then, VREF Simmer signing off. Stay safe. Look forward to seeing each of you in the air again soon. Have a great night.
Traffic, Delta 490, departing runway 1.
everywhere to find her. Searched everywhere. Is she